Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, and I'm joined, as always, by my trusted partner, Matt Pickett. And tonight we have a very special guest, Zach Rapport. Not rapport, but it's rapport in my mind. Zach, it's so nice to meet you. I enjoy following you on Blue Sky, one of the voices of reason, as far as I'm concerned. So, hey, it's nice to see your face. And we've been looking forward to this for a while. How are you doing? How was your week?
I'm doing well.
Outside of football.
Thanks for having me on. My week, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you. I work a tech job during the week. It's been a busy week. It's just been heads down. I'm very thankful that tomorrow is Friday. Yeah. But other than that, I'm happy to talk Packers, talk content, and meet you guys finally for the first time.
Excellent.
Sounds good. Maddie, how was your week, Maddie?
Well, of course, you're both outside of the crazy winter storm zone, being in San Diego, basically, right, and Albuquerque. So it is friggin' cold. We had a couple days off of work, which I'm not complaining about, but also the kids had 3 days off of school, which got a little bit, cabin fever around here for sure. But the fact of the matter is, I was built for this. Growing up in Wisconsin, it just felt like my childhood is what it felt like. So
you're still in Wisconsin? Where are you?
I'm in Cincinnati. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So kind of right in the worst of the snow, I think, for the stuff. But it could be worse than that because I think Tennessee got hit with like a bunch of ice or something. So that's way worse.
But ice is dangerous.
Boy, I had some days inside, which were lovely, and played with the kids a lot. Played a bunch of Nintendo. It was great.
I get the best of both worlds because I moved from a cold climate, grew up in Wisconsin, to the Southwest. So I don't really have winter anymore, give or take, which is great. And I get to pull out the I grew up in a cold climate card whenever it's convenient here, and people complain because, it's 20 degrees for a couple days. It's like, suck it up, guys.
Oh, gosh. Well, they complain here if it's 65 and... But I'm one of them.
It's a whole different animal. It's a whole different animal.
Yeah. Thankfully, I don't get the heat. So I have some friends in Albuquerque, Santa Fe. One of my friends just moved back. She was like, I'm moving to Santa Fe. She had been romanticizing about it for years. Her and her husband moved to Santa Fe, and she's like, I can't stand this snow. What was I thinking? So she's back in San Diego now, which I'm happy about. Yeah, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful part of the world. Arizona.
They are about an hour north of us, Santa Fe, and it's. I don't want to Google it. I should know it off the top of my head. It's over 5,000 feet elevation. So they get cold winter, they get snow, and then Taos is another town further up that people like a destination place, and that place is really snowy. So it's kind of a misconception about New Mexico. It's kind of the upper half of the state is like ski country. Yeah,
it's like Colorado almost. Right.
I would count myself as the people with that misconception. I actually didn't realize that because Santa Fe to me sounds like, well, it's informed by Newsies, I guess, because of Christian Bale singing about riding a horse through like the canyons and stuff. But so it seems like, summer riding in the sunset kind of a thing to me. I didn't realize it was like winters happen there.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's canyons, there's horses, there's hot summers, but there's also very snowy winters.
Very snowy winters.
Gotcha. Well, for those of you who are not familiar, joining us today, Matt and I today, is Zach Rapport. Did I say that right? Rapport.
You got it.
Rapport. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time with that name for some reason. Packers writer and podcast. Many of you already know from the Acme Packing Company. Woohoo! Universe. So Zach covers the Green Bay Packers with a mix of sharp analysis and real fan perspective. I can vouch for that. And you've heard him on multiple Packers podcasts, and you're going to hear him tonight, including the Unpack, Frozen Tundra Frequencies, and Acme Packing Company, where he helps break breakdowns, games, trends, and the emotional roller coaster that we know all about that comes with being a Packers fan. That's been our last 5 or our previous 5 thumbnails, the last 5 games of the season. It's just the roller coaster thing.
You know what roller coaster is.
So Zach brings thoughtful, grounded voice to Packers coverage, blending analysis with community insight, and we're super excited to have him join us today. So Zach, thanks again for being here and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having
me.
Sharp analysis. I don't know about that. I'll take it.
I think it's pretty sharp. It's pretty sharp. And it's definitely, I think I very much relate to you because you're definitely a reporter, but you're a fan. And so you go for the emotional rides with everybody. You're not apart from it. You're not trying to be that objective that you leave that part out.
Yeah. And I wouldn't even call myself a reporter. That's not really what I do, though. I do kind of roll with people who are reporters. I do know people. I have friends who have friends who have friends. So I have hashtag sources. But more than anything, I just like talking about the Packers. That's just it's just a fun pastime. And being someone who grew up in Wisconsin and hasn't lived there for a long time, it's been a fun way to kind of reconnect with my roots and also to just stay connected with friends and meet new people all over the world who love this team. So
it's great.
That's one of the cool things for people who move away from the state to still have that fandom of the Packers, to stay connected to the motherland. I mean, that's definitely the case for me. I moved out of Wisconsin when I was 23 years old, never really came back for any extended time. And it's the main way that my dad and I, communicate is about Packer stuff. And like we talk about other stuff, of course, too. It's not just sports, but like it is, really cool to have that connection back to the folks at home. I love that.
Yeah, we do love that. And that's how we like to start out our interviews when we have a guest on for the first time. We like to get to know you through your origin story. But before we quite get to that, we also like to go through your social media profile. This is your Blue Sky profile. It reads, Godspeed, Little Doodle. I talk about the Packers on the Unpacked Pod and Frozen Tundra Pod, both of the Blue Sky, but both have Blue Sky presence. And then you have your pod link in your profile, which is very helpful to people like me. I can just link it right there. Lots of really fun emojis, including a unicorn and cheese. It starts with cheese, a football, a microphone, a unicorn, the heart. What do you call it when you make a heart with your hands? I don't know. Whatever that is.
Whatever the kids are doing.
And then whatever this is.
That's the live long and prosper.
Okay. I can't do it. So tell us about Little Doodle.
Oh, that's a Simpsons reference. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, there's an episode where I think it's a Boy Scout episode. I think it's Homer and Bart and Ned and one of his kids, and they're like stuck adrift on a raft, and it's they're just like wrecked out in the middle of the sea trying to find their way. They've been out there for 2 days, and they're down to like their last cheese doodle, and they like cast it out on a fishing wire to try to like catch some food.
Okay.
And Ned Flanders says, Godspeed, little doodle.
I kind of do recognize it now. I would have never made that connection. I'm glad it was a Simpson reference and not like you just lost your dog named Doodle or something like that. Because I was like, am I going to make him cry when we started? So
I mean, we can go down the departed dog rabbit hole if we want.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to because I don't want to cry right now. I do see your profile picture has a dog. I thought that was Doodle. Okay.
That's Bubs. That's our current dog. She's a kind of a healer mix.
Yeah.
Sausage.
She's a sausage.
She's more of a sausage than a doodle, I would say.
Sausage noodle sounds tasty, though.
Yeah, it does.
Sausage noodle, right?
You guys are hungry.
I do love a good, like, a semi-obscure reference in a profile like that.
Mhm.
Like Dusty has Gentleman Honey Farmer, which is like Arrested
Right.
Development season 4 or 5. I love those. Like, if you can pick up on what they are, I'm trying to think. Zach, was it you or somebody else who had the Wharf quote? A good tea, nice house. Was that?
That was me for a long time. Yes,
that's what I thought. Yeah, but also a really good one. That was one where I saw the first time I saw. I was like, I know that one.
See, that's why I do stuff like that, because someone will see that and they'll go, "Oh, they're my person." I know
Yeah.
them.
Exactly.
Yeah, they belong. Yeah. So, well, fun fact, we went over this pre-show a little bit. I'm super interested in name origins as well as origins in general of where people come from and how they are influenced. So, rapport, not rapport, but rapport is French, and it literally means connection or relationship. And so we feel like this is pretty fitting for a guy who connects Packers fans with the team every week. So, how French are you?
0% French. The name was originally Rappaport, which is a Jewish last name, and was shortened to Rapport or Rapport. Honestly, like whatever you like.
Yeah.
At some point during the bad times, and actually, so my dad, he worked in sales when I was a kid. He worked at like sports radio stations, and he worked in sales, and everyone would pronounce his name Rapport, and I have distinct childhood memories of him refusing to correct anybody because you're in a sales situation and just why add friction. So eventually he just was like, yeah, rapport. So he changed the pronunciation for himself professionally just because he wanted to stop feeling like he had to interrupt people he was trying to sell stuff to. So, and I remember as a kid being like, no, I'm going to put my foot down and make sure people get it right. But I'm 41 at this point and I'm starting to not care very much.
Yeah. Other priorities.
And having a last name Rapport, being in sales, it's almost like a Spider-Man last name, like Ned Leeds, who works for the Daily Planet.
Totally.
It's like oh, that's also what he does. That's his name. Or it's even like I guess like J.K. Rowling, with giving away what the thing is
exactly
before they reveal it. So that made me think, talking about Rapport, of one of my favorite things about your podcast, which I'm kind of going backdoor into talking about it, I realize, is all the like funny sort of recurring bits that you guys have on the Unpack. Like using the French music when you talk about LaFleur, for example. Or some other favorite ones, of course, would be talk about the bookie. You're talking about your bets, having the polka at the end, hitting the bell when you say Glenn's name, at the beginning, generous patron. Glenn's not dead. And one of them I was thinking of, the pain scale, of course.
Glenn.
Shout out Glenn, man, he's a good dude. He sent me a jersey one time because it didn't
Glenn
fit him,
rules.
so he's awesome. Shout out for the Glenn. But of course, the one that we put into the name of the podcast this week is the pain scale. So like, I'd love to hear more about like how that originated, like just your thoughts around it, and where you are on the pain scale right now in terms of just where the Packers are at.
I don't know about the origins. I don't know. I'm always trying to think of like just humorous angles into things. And I don't know, you go to the doctor, you see the pain scale up on the wall, how do you feel today? And it's a bunch of, progressively more grimacing faces. And I just thought it was a funny idea to relate to football that way, especially, we started our show, I think it was in 2016. So, we'd had a couple years of some pretty painful, season ending moments. And so that was kind of top of mind. The other sort of, you flip it on its head a little bit, the other way that we like to talk about the pain scale on our show is what I call the potential pain scale, which is, let's say, you have resigned yourself in the last half of the season to, they're not going anywhere, this team, they are what they are. And, I'm just going to enjoy the football, but, then they win a game, then they win another game, then they win a third game, and hey, they're looking pretty good. And suddenly you find yourself like emotionally invested in a playoff game, they're going to lose, or, whatever the case may be. So then we talk about the potential pain scale, which is like, okay, heading into this game next week, if they lose, how far do you have to fall emotionally? Because I also like to talk about being grounded as a fan. For myself, I'm very much not the yeller and screamer I used to be, and just for personal reasons I have needed to calm myself in those situations. And so yeah, just trying to stay grounded, trying to stay a little zen and just enjoy the football and be a little Buddhist about it. Like, what's going to happen is going to happen, because of course it's going to happen. That came in very handy with this Bears loss in the playoffs.
For sure. Right.
But I also like to, with the pain scale, it's also a way for me to kind of egg on my co-hosts and tease them a little bit, particularly Nick. Shout out Nick, who gets like very emotionally invested on game day.
See that being the case, for sure.
It's interesting you brought that up, because you can have your pain scale, and then you can have your moment during the season when you realize, okay, well, this is not going to be what was promised or was hoped, for whatever reason or reasons, player injuries, whatever. And then you get your hopes back up, and then you get gutted again. And is that actually more painful than the first instance of pain? Or is that, it's
or are you hardened?
Yes.
Yeah. Then it becomes pain management.
Yes, exactly. Well, I mean, and hey, again, not to be too Buddhist about it, but that's life really, is pain management.
Right. True.
And that's also sports, right? Almost 99.9% of sports fans across all professional sports are very unhappy at the end of the year. There's only one happy team. One happy set of fans. So that's the way it is. That's what we've signed up for. That's the emotional torment that we are putting ourselves through.
we have.
You're definitely taking a sort of Buddhist approach, I think, is how you can maximize the experience, because if you're not getting too upset, and just enjoying the fun parts, that's the sweet spot, and it's hard to attain. And I think definitely intentional Buddhist like work is probably the way to go for it.
Well, and when I was first starting out on my show, I was living outside of Wisconsin. It was the early days of like streaming local radio online. You could sort of do it, and so I'd listen to like Jason Wilde on ESPN, like ESPN Wisconsin and stuff. Like, this is way back in like 2015, 2016. And I just remember, like, I love sports radio, listen to like all the call-ins, and it's a big loss, and it's Bill in a car is calling in, and he's like Joe in Wausau, and the caller is like out of breath. They're exasperated. They're so upset. And they're just like calling a live radio show, and they're just like, it's their therapy, but they like can't. They're just like, I can tell their blood is boiling. And I just remember thinking like I don't want to be like that. Like, I like this. I want to enjoy the football, but I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
No offense to Bill
Joe in
Wausau,
Wausau. Right. Well, so okay, this is an interesting philosophical conversation that I didn't think I was going to have with anybody tonight. But okay, so how much pain can one have like an ongoing threshold level before it gets to be too much? That's so, in other words, what is your pain scale right now? The season has ended. You've got some disappointments, probably mixed with, I don't know, maybe a little hope for next year. Who knows I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but because I find myself as a fan, after really becoming a real fan more recently in the last decade, being like, well, I think I can accept a certain amount of pain as a Packer fan. It's just, like you say, any team really, because only one team's going to go win it all. So how much can one live with? I'd say 6 for me on an ongoing basis. What do you guys think?
Matt, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when I think of the pain experienced as a Packers fan, after the 2014 NFC Championship game, like I can't be hurt again. Not like that. Like that really just, you know, it
You are
hardens a
forged in
person.
fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
You know, so it's like 2016, yeah, that was a rough one, you know, and this year,
Mm.
like it to the Bears, man, to the
I know
Bears,
the
like
Bears.
that's a bummer. But
That
in
was
the
just-
end, you know, I've got kids, and if I, you know, take too much of the pain from watching a bad game with me, like into the rest of the house, I feel like I'm being irresponsible, you know. So, for me, I'll maybe need to sit and like stew in it for like, you know, 30 to 60 minutes before I get up and go like be a person. So how much pain can I handle, Don? I feel like I can handle it pretty well, you know, I'd say. Yeah, so I'm gonna say, you know, 8 or 9. I can live with that. I can live in 8 or 9. I can do that.
Wow,
Also,
that's high.
as you know,
Yeah.
as our listeners know, I'm relentlessly positive, so I'm able to sort of shove some of it down. You know, the negative emotions, bury them deep, so that way, when you know you're watching a Pixar movie with the kids, you'll sob uncontrollably because that's where that stuff comes out.
There you go. You have an outlet.
Yeah. You're on an airplane watching Ant-Man and the Wasp, and you're like, why am I sobbing right now? The other thing I would say though is that, you know, pain is relative. So that's also, not to keep going back to my show, but like that's another reason why I like to frame things that way, because it's an interesting starting point for conversations, because people bring different thresholds. They bring different pressure points and trigger points to the conversation, and I think that's fun. But to answer your question, Don, in terms of how much pain can one take, I don't know. It makes me think of, I don't know if either of you were familiar with the old Around the NFL podcast, which was one of my favorites. And Chris Wessling was one of the hosts of that show, RIP. Love Chris, but he infamously, as part of this show, he was a lifelong Bengals fan. And the Bengals, of course, have let their fans down for a long time.
Yeah.
And he had reached a point, this sort of comedic rolling boil, where he just decided like I'm done. The pain is too much. And so he assembled, again, infamously, this dossier, like a binder full of all of the reasons why he was now no longer a Bengals fan.
Oh.
And it was like this like packet that he put together for no one but himself, and because he needed to express how done he was with life of pain. And it makes me, what you're asking me makes me think of him and that story, which is funny, because also, as we talk about pain being relative, Packers fans we're pretty privileged. And
yes.
So in terms of, you know, how much pain we can take, yes, we've had crushing moments where we thought we were going to the Super Bowl, and then 3 minutes later, it's, you know, the rug is ripped from under you and all that stuff, and it sucks. But we've had a lot of good football relative to a lot of other teams who are, you know, if you're a Bengals fan, or if you're a Browns fan, or until recently, if you were a Bears fan, I mean, they've been having to hang their hats on 1985 since 1985.
We're 85.
Is that 50 years ago? What are we talking about? Like,
I know. That's true.
So yeah, so it's all relative in terms of how much pain I think I could take a lot more, and I think part of that is, you know, Matt, you put it one way, which is to be kind of hardened, to be dipped in the fires of pain watching some of these games. But I'll spin it another way and just go back to sort of like the Zen mindset of just enjoy watching the football, getting to root for your team, and don't be the guy calling the show out of breath, because at the end of the day, it's just this is another like Chris Wessling-ism, but like it's just a bunch of guys chasing a bag of wind around a park. I remember I heard that once. Chris mentioned that on an old podcast, and I was like, I'm going to remember that basically every time I'm sad about football.
Right. That's so true.
Such a good point about like, Yeah, we've had heartbreaking losses in the championships, you know, in the playoffs and stuff like that. But the fact is, we've gotten to there because we've
In the
seen a lot of
playoff.
really,
Yeah.
really great, you know,
Mhm.
football games. A lot of highs. We can all, you know, rattle off like 5 really fun games off the top of our heads. I'm sure, you know, and then some of just some of our favorite games because we've had so many great games that we've been able to watch. I live in Cincinnati and I know a lot of people who are Bengals fans, and you're exactly right, Zach. Like it's a rough go for them. The one year they got to the Super Bowl recently, it was such an exciting feeling around the city. But even still, talking to the Bengals fans, they'd be like, "Man, it's really great we're there. We know we're not going to win,
Yeah.
but like
Right.
talking to so it's my wife is from here, and so her whole family's here, you know, and so I'm surrounded by family members, you know, who are Bengals fans here, and so my father-in-law was talking to me about the last Packers game because we were up like what was it, 21-3 at halftime, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I kind of
18 points.
it's smudging the memory, but you know now, of
18
course,
points.
you know.
Yes.
So he said, yeah, I was watching the game, and when I saw the Packers were up 21-3 at halftime, I thought, well, they shouldn't get too cocky because they could definitely lose this. If there's one thing I know as a Bengals fan, there's always a chance to lose a game, no matter how it's going. So I was like, yeah, I don't think like we don't have that innate feeling of like this is all gonna collapse. Like we have some optimism because we've had a good team for so long, and that's such an important thing to remember. It has been so good for so long. Like the Bengals had that one year they were good, and so they got excited about that. We've been good for many, many, many years. It's not just these little pockets of it, and it truly is a privilege. It truly is.
It really is. We do bring that up. So let me ask you about your about this Chris gentleman, and I already forgot his last name. I apologize. Lesling. Did he really stop being a fan though?
Oh yes. Yes.
Oh, he did.
Oh yeah. In fact,
did he pick another team?
He didn't pick another team because I mean, at that point, he worked for the NFL. He was covering the league as an analyst and a podcaster, and so it's a lot easier, I think, at that point to disconnect a little bit and just enjoy watching all of the football. And in some ways, probably freeing to also not have it in your head. I hope the Bengals are doing good. But there was a another sort of running joke between all those guys was after he had divorced himself from the team. What was it called? I don't remember. My memory is fuzzy now, but basically he would host a party at his house because there was a while where the Bengals would back into the playoffs pretty much every year, and they would always lose in the wild card round or whatever it was at the time. And he would host a party knowing that they were going to lose, hoping that they were going to lose, and just like, let's all come over to our house and we'll play cornhole, we'll grill some burgers, and we will watch the Bengals lose. And he apparently really reveled in watching them lose. Because I think he also would the idea was reveling in see, I was right to divorce myself from you because you'll never make anyone happy.
That's a rough life. That's a rough way to live.
Which is why he divorced himself from it.
The binder.
Yeah.
Well, I like to consider myself a fan of the sport and all the teams. I usually find something good about every team to like, and I watch as many games as I can. And I will say one of the ways that I deal with the pain, I just I kind of do divorce myself, but usually it's for a few weeks, mentally.
You take a break.
Right. I take a break. I just watch the other teams that go on to the playoffs. I celebrate them because good for them, right? Unless there's somebody really nasty that I don't like. But usually, there's usually I can find good in all of the teams and all of the organizations. I do feel bad for some of the organizations who've just like the Browns, for example, it's so hard. And so anyway, I do feel very privileged. Matt and I talk about that too. So I can take a certain amount of pain in terms of my pain management, but I have to do a certain amount of denial for a while to manage my pain. So that's how I do it.
I think that's fair. As a podcaster, and maybe you guys can relate to this too, but the numbers are lower after after like a crushing end of the season loss, or
Yeah.
even in the middle of the season, if there's just a game where the air really gets let out of the balloon, if it's a long-term quarterback injury, or Micah Parsons, or like there's a lot of people are checking out that next week, or
for a while.
Just protecting themselves, just licking their wounds, their emotional wounds.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. So let's talk about a little bit more about your origin story, your Packer origin story. So how you were born in Wisconsin. How did you become a Packers fan? Is it a family thing? What's your story?
It is a family thing. I mean, I grew up in Milwaukee, so you're born and they hand you a High Life and a cheese head and say,
"Go Pack, go!"
Go Pack, go! And the Bears still suck. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Milwaukee. I grew up in River West in the 80s and 90s. Shout out to Booth and Garfield. And my dad also grew up in Milwaukee and was a huge Packers fan. He was just a big Wisconsin sports fan. He went to UWM and like called their games on the radio, and he was just a big sports fan, and worked in sports radio when I was a kid. And so that was always just a big part of our lives. And I have a lot of like childhood memories of, he again working for a radio station would like do like he'd throw a listener party at a local bar, like a Major Goolsby's or something on Brady Street. And so I have like childhood memories of sitting on a bar stool and see 1510 WAUK like banner on the wall, and all the people who would be calling shows out of breath or showing up at the bar.
Those are the ones
to like watch, whatever a basketball game or something, and meet some of the on-air hosts. And I have memories of like being in the studio, like the radio station, etc. So just sports was always a big part of my life. I never played sports. I was always ready to talk about it and watch it, and was never very gifted in that other way. Actually, I have memories of I did one summer of like rec football in, I think it was like seventh grade, the summer of seventh grade or something. And I was so bad and so useless that I was never on the field. And I have like game day memories where it's just me in full getup on the sideline, standing next to the coach. Me and the coach are just talking about football and like what's on the field, what's happening on the field. We were so bad too. So it's kind of like I was like getting ready to host a show, and I was just like grilling our coach about our crappy youth football team. And so, but I have, I'm 41, so the 90s Packers Super Bowls were, I was like 10, 11 years old at the time. So very formative. And my dad, who grew up a Packers fan, he had 30 years of bad Packers football. We talk about the privilege. That's a new phenomenon over the last few decades. And so, he was over the moon and never thought he'd live to see playoff football at that point. And so it was a big deal. We had a big party, and like we never did stuff like that. So that's also like ingrained in my memory. And also with his background of having watched so much bad Packers football, he just like never let me forget about what he would call like the dark years wandering through the desert. I remember a time too, maybe like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, where we were talking about football, and I was like, the Bears are like, they've just been so bad for so long that I can't hate them that much. Like I like that we're beating up on them, but like it just doesn't feel like a rivalry. And he just like, I remember very vividly him being like, we always hate the Bears.
Yeah, that's my sister.
Never let your boot off the neck.
Yes.
Because he suffered for so long at the hands of the Bears and basically every other team. Never let me forget it. So that's also, a way that I sort of, I look back on that and stay grounded in the privilege. But But anyway, I moved out of Wisconsin in my 20s. I was in the Twin Cities, living amongst Vikings fans for a while, and then in New York, and now I'm in Albuquerque. And it's just been fun to follow along and a way to stay connected to Wisconsin and to friends and family that are there, and to meet new people. So
it's fantastic.
Yeah. So along the way and all that journey, you started a podcast, and it's I gotta tell you, man. Dawn and I listen to a lot of podcasts, read a lot of articles, watch a lot of videos. That's why I started this show, is talk about our favorite ones from the week. And over time, you realize there's certain podcasts that you flip up to the top of the queue, and Unpack has become one of those for me for sure. So,
thank you.
Yeah, man, you guys do awesome work. So, tell us about like how the podcast started and how it's evolved over time, and just what has that been like?
It started around 2014. I got the bug to create a podcast again. That's when I was like kind of first getting established in New York, and wanting to stay connected with the Packers. And like I mentioned, like early radio streaming days, and like taking my work break and like, oh, what did Jason Wilde say? I've got 5 minutes here. And really like searching for audio options at that point in history, and there just wasn't a lot out there, and what there was like not for me. But there were cool podcasts at the time. ESPN had a good football podcast. There were a couple others, and I was just like, I could do that. I think like if what I want to see out there isn't there, then I guess I'll try to make it for myself. So I set about figuring out how to do that. I'm a musician. I've spent a lot of time in studios and with like wires going over, like that stuff doesn't intimidate me. So I wouldn't say that I'm like an audio engineer, but I have a comfort level with it. I know the right stuff I need to buy and what jack goes where. So, so it was like a pretty decent foundational starting point. And yeah, right around then, that's like 2014, 2015, I started putting feelers out with friends, and just kind of started creating shows that nobody has ever heard, that nobody listens to. Nobody listened to. I don't even remember what platform it was on. I wasn't part of Acme Packing Company or anything. I was just doing it as an exercise and a way to kind of be connected with friends. And and it's just grown from there. Alex Patakis, one of my co-hosts, I knew about him again, those work breaks trying to stream ESPN radio. He was a ESPN Milwaukee guy. So I listened to him on the radio, and I just knew from Twitter and following him on social media at the time that he had recently moved to New York. And I just shot my shot and just messaged him and was like, hey, do you want to still make Packers content? And we met at a bar and talked it out, and he said, yeah. And that was that. We had another guy, Ben Foldy, who was a really old friend of mine from Milwaukee, who's now in New York. And he's a big sports fan, super smart, super sardonic. And just, I thought he would be like great to bounce off of and be someone to have interesting, funny stuff to add. So that's how the show started. It was us. And and I got connected through writing, through trying to be a Packers writer, I guess. I got connected with, I forget who, maybe it was Jason Hirschhorn. There's like a number of guys like Jason Hirschhorn, Peter Bukowski, Evan Tex Western. Those are guys that I was kind of like befriending through social media. And I did through them, I did a little bit of work for Cheesehead TV, doing like editing on draft guides and stuff. And that's how I got connected to Acme Packing Company. And that's how I got an actual platform to put my show on the air. I got connected with Tex, and he was like, hey, do you want to, be a full-time contributor here? And I remember saying something like, I can't write full-time because I'm an adult living in New York, and that's just not feasible. But I do make this show for free that nobody listens to. And if you guys have a podcast feed, I will gladly do that for you. And then write stuff on the side. And he agreed. And then the rest is kind of history from there. So
what year was it when the Unpack kind of joined that Acme Packing Company network?
That was like 2016. So at that point, we weren't Unpack yet. We were just the Acme Packing Company podcast. It was the flagship. I got to basically run the podcast feed. So there were some seasons where I was doing like 3 shows a week. Other times it was just our show, and I was in there once a week. But it was kind of like my baby that I got to like grow an audience, and that was really fun. And then about a year and a half ago, SB Nation / Fox just decided that they didn't want to do podcasts anymore. So we were like in the middle of draft prep, and we had Justice Mosqueda and Tyler Broke, like really plugged in smart guys, dropping content all the time and putting all this work in. And then it was like a week before the draft maybe, and they were like, yeah, we're not supporting podcasts anymore. So it's just like us and like 1,000 other people who are just making free content for them. We're like, okay, now we don't have a platform. So then our show and some of the other shows that were on the feed just kind of banded together and like, well, we could just move all of our shows to a different feed and most people will find us. And that has been true. So that's what Frozen Tender Frequencies is. That is the sort of post Acme Packing Company feed. And so that's us, and Tex is in there with the repack, and reporting is eligible. So a pretty strong lineup, if I don't say so. Don't
for sure.
It's
myself.
a very strong lineup. Well,
I was just saying, when it was announced you guys were going to find a way to keep it going, that was a happy day. So I was like, we just lost a lot of really good podcasts, all because of some dumb corporate decisions. So.
And that can happen. I mean, that can just happen in life and when you're not expecting it.
Yeah. No one loves to make dumb decisions like media companies, let me tell you.
Oh man. Yeah. Like a lot of companies. Well, we're at the 40-minute point. So I know you are a little bit pressed for time tonight, but I did you mentioned Jason Wilde, and I did want to mention, I love Jason. I love him so much. I love his personality.
I do too.
He's so invested in Jim Leonard as the DC. And so I just want to ask you what your thoughts are really briefly. And I know you have a couple superlatives you want to sign off with too. So I want to give you a chance to get out of here on time, but really quickly, I just felt like, okay, well, I was listening to all that like angst about not because I thought Jim Leonard was at least going to get interviewed too. But at the same time, Matt LaFleur did interview Jim a few years ago. So he would have vetted him. So he knew what it was that Jim would offer. And if Jim was even going to be available, right? So what are your thoughts on that? Real quickly with Jason and Jim and just the coaching choice for DC.
Well, I will say firstly on Jason Wilde, I love Jason as well. I haven't listened. I haven't heard recently sort of what you're referring to in terms of, sounds like he's banging the drum all day for Jim Leonard. But something that I say a lot, because I do think that there are some people in the blogosphere who don't like Jason Wilde, and I think that he gets under some people's skin. And I love Jason Wilde, and I think he's a great beat guy. I think he knows how to ask questions in the right way that get interesting answers. It's really valuable for us as fans. I love him, but I also know, and this is in his defense, that he has a live radio show that he has to do. I think it's 5 days a week still. So he has to fill a lot of airtime. And, I talk about, started the show talking about the guys out of breath, calling Jason Wilde and complaining about the Packers. And he's got to like produce that content. And Wisconsin loves Leonard. They've just been beating that dead horse for several years now. And that's just the content that's gonna fill the time. So I don't envy Jason having to fill that time. I think that's part of it. Maybe it is. Again, I haven't listened to it, so maybe there is a part of it that he just thinks it makes sense. But I'll say this: he hasn't. Jim Leonard hasn't found another job. It's not like he was like, oh, and then he got hired right from under our feet. Like he's still going around trying to get a DC job. Now he might. I think he interviewed with the Bills, maybe. I know he's interviewing with the Ravens, but it's not like, a lot of this stuff happens fast, and it's not like they missed their opportunity. And Dawn, to your point, they had already talked to him. They knew what he was about, and I guess they wanted to go a different direction, which brings us to Gannon, who I don't know a ton about. I've been listening to, and I'll sneak in some of my superlatives here, and I don't mean to like pump up my own work, but please. Repack is one of my was one of my go-tos with Tex, and Justice will be on there sometimes, and Tyler Brook as well. Just really smart, plugged in, reasonable people. And so if you want to learn about Gannon, Tex and Justice have talked a little bit about it, and Tex actually just today released an episode on our feed where he is talking to, the gentleman's name escapes me, but he is a podcaster for the Eagles, and they talk about
I was listening to that.
Eagles.
Yes.
So I don't really have a take yet. I'm trying to get excited. I think it's gonna be different. The philosophy is a little bit different. I think it's still rooted in the Fangio stuff, but the way that they do like match quarters and like this secondary stuff that I'm not smart enough to really understand is going to be a little bit different. And from people who are smarter than me, I hear that could leave, guys like Edrin Cooper maybe being a bit of an odd man out. That always happens when you switch DCs. There's like some player that you really like that just doesn't fit in the new scheme. And yeah, I don't know. My gut instinct is I don't like it, but it was going to be hard to find someone that I liked, because Jeff Hafley has like been our first decent defensive coordinator in like a decade.
While, right.
Yeah. And we only had him for 2 years, and it's not even like he was amazing. He was just like pretty decent.
Right.
After a long line of a lot of disappointment, frankly, on that side of the ball. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's a long-winded way to say I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think any of us do, but that's a great answer. That's what we do on my show. I will always admit when I don't know stuff, which is usually, and then we'll just talk about what's in the news and how it makes us feel, and then we'll refer to people who are smarter than us for actual insights.
Well, I feel like the way you're talking about it, Zach, has really been like the tenor of the conversations this week in the podcasts and videos and stuff, because everyone's like, I guess he had some success. He's kind of a weirdo, but like he's had some good success, and he'll probably be good. I'm not crazy about it, but I'm not upset about it. Everyone just seems kind of middle of the road, and like trying to feel it out, and nobody really knows. And that's just kind of the vibe around it is what I'm kind of seeing,
Yeah, I just don't know. So quickly though, because I do have a hard stop. That's an industry term.
Yes.
Yes. So Repack is one of my favorites to listen to. Blue 58. I know you guys have talked to John Meerdink before. I love John.
Yep.
A really, really great show. Just first of all, a golden voice. I love John.
Oh.
We tease him about it at APC.
Velvety. Yes.
A golden voice, but also just again, like a smart, reasonable guy who entertains questions that we all want to know about. He really does a great job of being one person hosting a show that feels like a conversation about some pretty interesting topics. So I love Blue 58, Repack, and then I'll throw a third one in there, which is not football related because it's the off season. We all need a break from football, and that is I just discovered Mike Birbiglia's podcast, Working It Out. He's a comedian, and so he interviews other comedians. It's a very casual conversation show, but it's a lot of bad stuff in the world right now, and I listen to like a lot of news. And so finding this show has just been a way to like listen to two like comedians who are like masters of their craft, just kind of yuck it up and talk about joke structure and just have fun with each other, and it feels good to laugh. Right now.
Yeah.
I always have a little Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend and a little Good Hang with Amy Poehler interlaced with other stuff personally.
You got it. You got
Yeah.
it. It's been too long
Exactly.
for me to not. I've neglected my funny bone these last few months, so I've been really enjoying kind of working my way. There's like 200 episodes of this show, and I've just started at the
Ooh.
200th, which is John Mulaney, which is
Oh,
I
nice.
love John Mulaney.
Oh.
So, and they're old friends, and so they just cut up, and it's great. And I'm excited to move backwards.
Ooh, I
from
like that. Yeah, we
We'll check
love
that out.
non-football football recommendations here. We often go off the rails here and talk about anything but football. So that's great. Well, Zach, thank you so much for spending an extra 10 minutes. I know it was your hard stop, so we really enjoyed meeting you. And
How
it's
hard
always
was
nice
it
to.
if I spent an extra 10 minutes? It wasn't that hard.
Okay. Well, it's
Yeah, thank you
also
so
nice
much,
to have
Zach.
a
It's been great.
face with a voice.
Yeah.
We love, and so I would like to encourage all of your podcasts that you're involved with to have a YouTube presence. I don't know if you do. I was looking, but
we don't.
yeah,
you know what it looked like. It's fine.
it's no.
I'm a white guy with a red beard. I'm from Wisconsin. What we all look like, basically.
With a French name. With a French name. You know, it's the funniest thing. I thought your name for the longest time was Rapport. I was like, it's
it
not.
Used to be
it's like
long ago.
shortened.
And some people do say that they just add the extra syllable. So but
exactly.
Again, we're not correcting anybody.
No. It's good. It's good. Well, thank you again for joining us, and come back anytime you want.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it, guys.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Like I said, bye for now. Oh, we get a chance to have Zach on again. He's delightful.
Oh,
His work is just so good too. So
good. And I was listening to Tex's interview with the Philadelphia Reporter, and I swore I was going to write it down because I know I was going to remember it. I'm like, oh, I'll remember that name. Now I forgot it. But I was listening to that as we were leading up to this show. So, hey, Maddie, I know you have some things to share with us too. So.
Here comes. It's time for superlatives. I swear I can see it loading, John. People get excited. It's coming right about now. Ish. Oh,
You're
no.
behind. You're behind. I love that. I love that for you. So, and by the way,
did it actually play? Because I didn't hear it at all.
You didn't see it. You didn't hear it. Aw,
yeah,
okay.
No. I think you had to put it on the screen. Well, anyhow, it's superlatives time.
It's superlatives time, and I've totally blanked out on saying hi to our chat tonight.
I was going to say,
sorry,
yeah,
guys.
before we do superlatives, we should acknowledge our friends in the chat. Joe, True North, thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate you every single day of the week for sure. A lot of great comments. I think because I knew we had a limited time with Zach, we didn't take much time to acknowledge your comments. But a lot of good stuff there as always.
Right, we had a very limited time. It was so precious, though. I'm so glad to meet. He's one of my favorite Blue Sky friends. On Blue Sky. Yeah,
indeed.
Yeah, it's great. Well, Maddie, what do you have for us?
Yeah, so I actually have 4 this week, and I almost had 5. But I had to find a way to cut it down a little bit to not go too crazy.
No. Okay.
So my first one, right? So I was talking about how there's a lot of course conversation in all of the content this week about Gannon. Who is he? What is he? Why is he? How is he? Yeah. Right? And so, especially just after the news broke, you're like. How do I feel about this? I don't know. So there was a lot of people, like emergency podcast, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But the one that was one of the first things I heard that helped me to start to make sense of it and start to, what's the word? Sort of clarify my thoughts, organize my thinking a bit was the Marvelous Monday crew on Pack a Day. It was Monty Moore and it was Dan Kotnick. Camille couldn't be there this week for whatever reason, And so just the conversation the two of them had about it, because they knew about as much as all the rest of us know, but they had a really rational, logical way of thinking about it, talking through it, things that could be really good about it, acknowledging, the viral clips of him being really strange. And and I will say, in his defense, a lot of people, this week have been saying this is actually kind of what most coaches are like. Most of them are really kind of weirdly awkward because they spend a lot of time in the dark looking at football film, and like there's a lot of really nerdy dudes who are football coaches at this point. It's kind of what a lot of the professional level of the of the profession of the sport has
as long as they're not assaulting players. Oh wait, he did that. Wait, okay, never mind. Sorry.
Shoot. Hopefully he learned from that experience.
No, but, it wasn't bad, but yeah. I mean, honestly, if I were a coach, I'd probably be hitting people all the time, to be honest, because it's got a super. Yeah, I don't think he I mean, the guy had pads on and stuff. It wasn't like he took him down or anything. He was just like,
it wasn't like an Urban Meyer assault situation. But suffice to say, Dan and Monty did a really good job of bringing like a rational voice to the discussion and talking through it. And I found it extremely helpful, especially in those early stages when we were all trying to figure out what was up with that. So that was excellent work.
I like that, Maddie. I will tell you, in all honesty, I was like, I'm not ready for this yet. Speaking of how we all deal with our pain, I was like, okay, I'm going to just take a little bit of information in just so I'm not like a total dum-dum, because I do have a podcast and I do need to talk about this, but I think that's just also probably healthy because we don't know what Matt LaFleur sees. We don't know what the team sees in him. And it's no matter who they pick, they're going to have to prove themselves. So it's going to be, how does he perform? How does he prove? What I did get though was, for sure, some of the players, what their role is going to change in the way that he schemes things. And so there might be certain players who will either have to adjust, retrain, or they have to rebuild part of that defense, which I don't see them doing because there's not a whole lot of money. So
not a whole lot of money or resources or picks, or there's not a lot you can do. You kind of got what you got. But a lot of people are saying that he is somebody who is scheme agnostic and so like is good at working with what he has. And I think Joe makes a good point here in the chat. He says some guys are better coordinators than head coaches, and I mean that's absolutely true. And he has a proven track record as a DC, with the Eagles, of course. So I'm definitely optimistic about it. And speaking of players. It's been coming out that like a lot of the Cardinals players that he was coaching were really upset to see him go and really spoke very highly of him. And I think one of the I can't remember who it was that said this, but I was mentioned on the Wednesday Pack a Day that somebody compared him to Ted Lasso, which was surprising for me to hear. But like we've only seen these little clips of him being a weirdo that of course went viral for him being weird. That's not the whole story. That was like selected moments. And like I certainly had moments where it's like, oh, if I could take that weird thing I said back, if somebody had caught that on video and posted it over and over again because it was a strange moment, that'd be rough. We all have those like awkward, interactions with folks. I probably had like 3 last week, so like definitely gonna give it a chance. Because if anybody out there who knew him and worked with him compared him even slightly to Ted Lasso, man, okay. I can get on board with that.
He's in. You like him. Yeah.
Good enough for me, really.
Right. Well, one I don't remember which podcast I listened to, but one pointed out that he probably won't be head coach material like ever again. I don't know why, but they said that. And it's like, well, in that sense, we've got somebody who might stay because we keep getting launching. It's the Packers, man. You get a job with the Packers, and then all of a sudden you're a head coach material the next year or two. So we do need someone who can just do that job and stay there and develop players and develop themselves, and develop the coaches underneath them. So I don't mind that either. So good for him.
Yeah, it's definitely the classic brain drain that happens with any successful team. You're going to lose your good coaches when that happens. And so you're right. You make a good point there, Don. Like if he does prove to be good, I am optimistic about it. Of course I am. But if he does prove to be good, hopefully that he will stick around for a while, like a good long while, ideally.
Right. And hopefully he'll be very, happy with what he's accomplishing with the Packers.
All right, should have been next one, Don.
Maddie? Yeah.
All right, so that was most interesting discussion, Gann related. Now we have most interesting discussion, review related. Now, okay, we make a conscious effort to not go to the same well and use the same people every week that we're going to shout out. But sometimes, Don, People are on a heater. You can't deny it. And so for the third week in a row, an almost unprecedented third week in a row, Maggie Loney is in the discussion, folks. Her and Terry with their podcast, Packs What She Said, had this really wonderful annual episode where they look at like what do the Super Bowl teams have that Green Bay doesn't. And so what they're doing is they went like, you know, like a metric at a time and a position at a time, you know, saying like, here are what both the Super Bowl teams have. Here's like their ranked DVOA, like it's stuff like that. And where do the Packers stack up against that? And so quickly, you know, by taking that kind of approach, like let's just go point by point, compare the Packers to the actual Super Bowl teams. You can see where are the deficiencies in our team, you know, like just looking at the metrics, just looking at the statistics. And I find that so helpful and informative as a means to look back on like what happened. Why did it go on like it did? Some of them are like, you know, glaringly obvious, like our corners, you know, weren't the best.
Yeah, that was the problem.
You know, for example, right? But just the way how they dig into it, like makes you think about some of the other aspects, some of the other like positions, and also makes you appreciate how good a lot of the team is, you know, because for most of them, Packers are stacking up right there with the two Super Bowl teams, you know. So I love that approach to talking about the team, the season, where we're at, you know, kind of that sort of like at this sort of what I'm trying to say, yard post, fence post, measuring stick. I don't know. I'm getting my metaphors all mixed up in my head here, but suffice to say, as it means to say, okay, right now, here's where we're at compared to other teams. And I really enjoyed that. And it was a great discussion.
You know, and on the flip side of to that, in terms of managing pain, that's kind of what I do. It's like, okay, well, these guys belong in the playoffs. These guys belong in the championship games. These teams belong in the Super Bowl because of X, Y, Z. And Packers didn't have that this year. They had that for whatever reason it is. So that's how I am able to just, you know, finish out the season as a fan, watching all the games. And I don't necessarily pick who do I want to win? Sometimes I don't want either team to win. Or I want both of them. You know, I don't care that much this year. I don't really care that much. I don't even have a team to hate watch this year. You know, last year it was
really.
like, last year I was like, I'm going to go for I'm going to cheer for the Eagles. I don't want I didn't think the Chiefs deserved to win, and they didn't. And the Eagles did beat them, but you know, so it also helps me in that way, just to kind of like that type of thinking, what you're describing that they did on their podcast, and I didn't listen to it yet, but it helps me to finish out the season as a fan.
All right, ready for my next one?
Yes.
All right, my next one. Most interesting discussion. Yes, there's a theme, Don. These are all most interesting discussion. Most interesting discussion, pro related. Okay, so this is going to sound so stupid to say it this way. Don, this was a real treat. I feel like I sound like a 90-year-old when I say that. This episode was a real treat, Don. This was this week's The Tundra, you know, of course, which is with Matt Schneidman and John Kuhn. And the really fun part of the episode this week is they had TJ Lang, who of course was, you know, a teammate with John Kuhn for many years with the Packers.
Yes.
And they were just kind of like talking about, you know, the Super Bowl team that they were on, some of the kind of stories behind the scenes, alluding to stories they couldn't even tell, you know, basically in mixed company. And just to hear these two guys who, you know, were part of such a great team and have this bond of, you know, having been in the trenches together, telling their stories from the era, you know, it's not only just like fun and entertaining, but it also helps to like further humanize the players. Like these were just like dudes who, you know, like were doing this thing together and having a great time. And the way he talked about the you know, the year they won the Super Bowl, like they didn't have that kind of expectation necessarily because Aaron Rodgers was just kind of becoming, you know, the force that
phenomenon.
He, you know, really was. Phenomenon is a great word. Thanks, Don. You know, and so like seeing him kind of like, you know, come into his own during that season was really exciting for the team. And because they didn't have like these really big expectations and didn't feel the pressure of it, they were playing loose and like you're like really enjoying it. And of course, the year after, he's talking about the year after that, that's when like the pressure came on. And so there's things about you know, the vibe that weren't as good. I'm extrapolating here and saying that, but like, you know, it changed the whole entire feel of it for them. As opposed to when they were playing loose and having fun and then you win a Super Bowl. And I feel like that's such an interesting perspective, because we talk about,
Mhm.
you and I would talk a lot about like the vibe of a team, or
Yeah.
watching a game, and to sort of hear like, yeah, that's like a real thing for the players
It's
as
a thing.
well.
Yes, for
Absolutely
sure.
seems to be. It's like good to reaffirm that, right?
And Matt
So, yeah,
LaFleur brings that up. Matt LaFleur has brought that up throughout the seasons,
Yeah.
about them playing loose and just playing, the game. And so that's interesting because it's for real. If you're just constantly playing for pressure or playing for money or whatever,
Yeah.
it's not going to be the same as when you're just playing free or doing
And that does
anything
kind of
free.
does bring it back to the pain scale again, because the
Right.
potential pain scale that exists once you have the expectations there. I think back to like the 2023 Packers season was so much fun because Jordan Love was in his first year as a starter. Their expectations were low, but they were good. The team was good. So it was like, oh, I don't expect much. So this is just all like fun to see them doing well.
It's great. Yeah. Gravy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Pain scale is always in the back of my head when I think about this stuff. Actually, it's a great contribution that Zach made to the discourse around sports in general. I love that.
I like that too.
And so, am I correct that you don't have any superlatives this week, right?
I did not bring superlatives.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Then I've got one more. For you. So make sure I'm not like stepping on you with that. So
no, you're
all right. My last one, fourth and final, and unusual that I have 4, but I got them for you this week. My fourth one, most interesting discussion, scheme related. Okay, so this was a really fun one, Don. Cody Alexander, match quarters. Many of the sports people we know have praised the work this guy does with his. I think he's a Substack and a podcast, if I remember correctly. Right, podcast is behind a paywall, but a lot of his writing is out there for free. And so Andy Herman had him on to talk about the Gannon hire, because Cody Alexander is a big defense guy. So he had a lot of interesting perspective on what Gannon has done, what the fit might be like with the Packers, what to expect. Is kind of like bringing in an expert on defense broadly, but who could speak to a lot of the stuff about Gannon that like we just don't know yet, because we don't study. We as the majority of the fan base of the Packers just don't know yet. We aren't as much in that world, and that's not like our job to like study defense like it is for Cody Alexander. So just like a really fun conversation for that one. Definitely worth checking out.
Ooh, that sounds really good, because I think when the time comes, I'll want to. I'm not ready yet. I'm still in I'm just going to enjoy the rest of the games kind of mode and licking, it's like trying not to think too much about it because the expectations were so high. But that sounds like a great recommendation, Maddie. I appreciate that very much. Yeah. So I had a thought, and I can't think of what it was. I had something to interject there, but it just went out of my head. So my final thoughts, I guess, are I really appreciated our guests bringing the whole Zen conversation into, because pain scale, when you think about pain scale, you think about what? Pain, right? And I don't want to think about pain. I want to have joy, as I am a football fan and a fan of the game and a fan of the Packers for sure. And I am very kind of like feeling, at least for the moment, blissful. I'm trying not to think too far ahead in terms of the draft, but I'm going to be really excited about the draft this year.
Yeah.
I'm going to be really interested in seeing how, the financial constraints affect choices that are made, and how I do, how the energy is dispersed, let's just say, between the defense and the offense. Forget about special teams. By the way, special teams played such a, I know, we might as well. Special teams, man, have played such a big role in the playoff games of last week. Oh my gosh. It was like, special team. It was like wild. And by the way, that fun snow game in Denver, that was fun just to see the snow for me, because, weather is boring here. So, but that's just like a whole bunch of
perfect where you are. Yes.
It's boring and perfect, but it's just like a whole bunch of thoughts I put together all at the end there. But I've really enjoyed the end of the season as much as I can, even though the Packers are no longer in it. I'm still enjoying it.
Still football. still fun to watch.
Pretty soon
And for
it
the
won't
most
be.
part, really good games that are fun to watch. So yeah.
Yeah, pretty
Absolutely.
good. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, Maddie. So what are your thoughts about the Super Bowl? Do you have thoughts about it or do you not care? Like I just don't feel like I
Oh,
care a lot.
I mean, I can't remember the
I
last
want
time that I really cared a lot about which team was going to win. I mean, you're kind of talking about some years where you don't care at all, like the
yeah.
Eagles versus the Chiefs. Having it twice recently, which is ridiculous. Were both years where I
Mhm.
cheered for like the meteor. But this year, it's kind of a weird thing. Like we as a fan base hated the Seahawks for a lot of years there, like in the 20 teens.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
after 2014, especially. I hated their stupid faces. I hated Russell Wilson. I hated Pete Carroll. Once Russell Wilson left, I was like, oh, maybe Pete Carroll's not that bad. And now he's gone. I'm just like, you know what? Seahawks are a fun team this year. It doesn't
They
feel
are.
like the same team that I hated, back in the 20 teens.
Mhm.
I like watching them. They're really fun. I think they're gonna easily, handily beat the Patriots, because though the Patriots
Seems
are
like
amazing
it.
stories this year, the Seahawks are just a really, really complete team. So
Yeah.
I think they're gonna win. I think it'll be a fun game to watch for the most part. It's something that, like, our tradition now is that my wife's parents go down to Florida for most of the winter, but they always come up for like some little things they need to take care of back home. So they'll come back up for like a weekend, and they've made that weekend be Super Bowl weekend. So they come up and they host a party, and so we're gonna watch it with some of my in-laws and stuff, and that's always a really fun time. So I just look forward to that. Being there with them, watching the game. It's good stuff. So
It's fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find myself kind of wanting. The Seahawks have been so impressive this year, and the young coach, or the coach's first, real success as a head coach. I kind of am having a hard time hating them for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious that Donald is doing so well after the Vikings game gave him up. I just think that's just hilarious. So yeah, I think
so tasty. Yeah, the Vikings were really, really, really good last season, and they're like, "Oh, we need Sam Darnold. Whatever, we have 9."
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it turns out Sam Darnold's actually good, and you should have kept him around. It's kind of hilarious.
And it's kind of a fun story because he got passed around from team to team to team, and he finally is finding success. So just on a personal note like that, I think it's really kind of cool. So yeah, I'd say I want the Seahawks to do it. I think they will. Any thoughts about? I just couldn't even stand all this drama about. Oh, Bill Belichick wasn't voted into the Hall of Fame. I'm like, who cares? Who cares? He'll get there.
I get it. Because a certain amount of cachet with being like a first ballot Hall of Famer, right?
Right.
And like,
so what?
I think say what you will about Belichick and the Patriots and Deflategate or anything else like that. And yet I think it's undisputable, that he should be a first ballot, Hall of Famer. And it's ridiculous that people behind the scenes were being, moralistic or weird or foolish.
But were they? I don't
say.
even think that's what happened.
We'll never know.
I think
we'll
it
never
was.
Really know.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, why would anyone not, vote for Belichick to the Hall of Fame immediately? He is
because he'll get there. He'll get there next year, I think. And I think one person came out and explained their vote. It might be the person that tilted it. I'm not sure, but it had nothing to do with Belichick. It had something to do with something altogether different because of you have a certain number of votes, and he was like blocked in with other people, like with Kraft and 3 executives, and and so it's like, I just think it's just much ado about nothing, to be honest. I don't care about that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a time when there's only so much to talk about with football. We have 2 teams that are playing, and a lot of slow dripping, a coach carousel news.
The coach stuff has been fun. I've watched. I just like McDaniel a lot, and so him being here in the Chargers is going to be fun, I think.
Oh, that's going to be fun. Yeah, that should be a fun game next year. He's funny.
He's so fun, and with Herbert, and you know, when he came out there with his I watched his press conference, and it's like all I could do is stare at his jacket. And it's one podcast did bring up his jacket. It's like, that's a $14,000 jacket. And I'm like, yeah, I was staring at that jacket the whole time. You know, whereas Harbaugh, the head coach, wears like Dockers.
Yeah.
So it's just a funny combination. But he's so LA. I think it's gonna be perfect for him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely. Yeah,
I
Harbaugh
have more
was
fun
shot
with that. More fun with that than the whole worrying about what's his name not being first ballot. Like, whatever. Who cares? I don't know what the reasons are. They'll figure it out. But that doesn't bother me as much. I think it's more fun to seeing the new coaches land where they're landing. Not just coaches, but you know, defensive and offensive coordinators and stuff. So it's kind of a fun time.
Whole coaching staffs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. And I'm looking forward to deep diving into our whole coaching staff, because I was wondering who Halfley would poach and how everything would really end up, because it's not just the main coaches. It's not just the DC, the OC, and the head coaches. It's all the people underneath them that make things happen. Yes. So I'm interested in digging more into that in the future, in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. There's still lots to keep us interested and entertained. The NFL has done amazing work at finding ways to keep people engaged throughout the year. It's really impressive. Yeah,
the whole business of it, and you know, and I don't honestly, just from a macro, I don't know anything at all. I always say that I know nothing. I know nothing about anything in the world.
You know more than yourself credit for, but yes.
But I will say I can understand, first of all, that Matt didn't need to interview Jim Leonard if he wasn't even sure he was ready to take a position. And secondly, every minute counts. So to take the person that was available who could get started, every day counts in the off season. And a lot of people don't realize they're not just like sitting around at a hotel pool for the next 5 months. They're working really hard to make the next season happen. So every minute counts. So I can understand why and I do feel like Matt LaFleur has shown tendencies to grab somebody when they're available rather than wait. And I can respect that. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. If you're not available. Yeah. All right, Maddie, anything before we go? Anything else before we go?
Real fast, gonna help Joe. He's plug for his podcast here for Ohana Packers Edition. He mentioned that they are going to start their positional breakdowns with Monday's episode talking about defensive line. Joe and Mike Kawano, his co-host. Great show. People should be listening to that as well.
Yes.
But apart from that, you know, we got one game left, and of course, nothing this weekend. So as we've been saying, you know, in this part of the cycle, as we launch, you know, into the off season really soon here, just a reminder that everybody has different ways that they, you know, that they fan. And if you find, you know, I'd recommend for everybody, find what it is that you're really excited about. You're excited about the draft, you're excited about, you know, roster building, you're excited about the coaching staffs, whatever else, you know, whatever it is that you are excited about, go for it, you know, because there's something for everyone out there at this point, for sure.
There really is. And some people just don't care about the off season at all. And that's cool too. But I would say that's probably the more interesting. It's pretty interesting to me. Obviously the games, you know, I live for, but the off season and the nuts and bolts are very fascinating to me.
I think so too. All right, Don. Should I bring it home?
All right, Maddie. Let's bring her home, Maddie.
All right. Well, friends, we'd love to have a chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms. And like I said last week, we're going to have more guests now that we're kind of moving out of the regular season. So yeah, if there's somebody you want to, you know, request we reach out to have on the show, please, like, really, we want to hear it. So anyhow, folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community, and the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family.
Yes, Maddie, that's right, because we love you. We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL. We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod, and we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.